The innocence of childhood often acts as a strange, thin veil. For most children, fever brings nothing more than restless sleep, but for some, that elevated temperature seems to thin the walls of reality, opening a sight that should remain closed. Imagine the confusion and terror of a loving mother, watching her child struggle with a common illness, only to have that illness unleash a horrifying vision of the unseen world right inside their home. Our storyteller, Althea, a mother of 3 boys in Manila, experienced a night that left her questioning the very nature of her home and her eldest son's sight. I am Paul Anche, and you are listening to Stories Philippines podcast. Althea's family lives in a home built on practicality, divided by mezzanine. The upper half for the parents and youngest son, and the lower half for the 2 older boys. It's a structure that keeps the family close, but on one feverish night, it became a stage for a chaotic, terrifying, spiritual intrusion. Althea's eldest son, an active, sporty 11-year-old, had come down with a high fever. At around 1 o'clock, Aihuming, he called for his mother, dizzy and needing to use the bathroom. After the trip, Althea decided to move him to the sofa downstairs for easier access to the bathroom. She then slept beside her middle child just a few feet away. This change in sleeping arrangement placed her son in a new, vulnerable location, right next to the main door. It was around 3 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that notorious hour, when Althea heard her son making a strange hoo-hoo sound. When she woke him, she asked what was wrong. His answer was chilling. He was seeing things. First, he pointed to the door near his head and said, "Mommy, there's a house." Then, the visions escalated, focusing on the spaces where the family slept. The mezzanine chaos. He described the entire upper level as being messy, filled with many people carrying long pieces of metal. He said they were acting like they were building a house. The muddy workers. He saw 2 men wearing helmets, their bodies entirely covered in mud, up on the mezzanine. The plumber ghost. One of the muddy figures came down the stairs toward the sink. Grippo. The boy watched in real time as the figure washed its hands and then, unnervingly, began to mess with the faucet, trying to take the faucet off. The figure then walked out the main door. This description, the metal beams, the construction, the workers covered in mud, is eerily specific. It doesn't sound like a typical nightmare. It sounds like an invisible, spectral crew was conducting a phantom construction project right through the family's home. Just when Althea thought the visions might be over, her son's gaze fixed on the spot where she and her middle son were sleeping. "There are so many people there," he whispered, pointing to their bed. "It looks like they're digging something up." Then came the detail that truly broke Althea's composure. There are 2 children taking toys. "They are looking at you, Mommy, and they're smiling." The image of children smiling and digging on the family bed, carrying away unseen objects, suggests an intrusion of the most sinister, playful kind. Althea hugged her son until he calmed down and finally fell asleep. The horror wasn't relegated to the night. The next morning, her son woke up groaning and immediately pointed to the same spot. The bed. The children were back, and now there were 3 of them. They were still taking a toy, and they were still smiling at him. The sight was so persistent that the boy began to cry. Finally, Althea found her voice. She stood up and demanded they leave. "Go away! Get out of here! You've been here since last night. You are not welcome here." Her son told her they left immediately. The power of a mother's command in her own home had worked. However, the entities weren't finished. When Althea's mother visited, her son again stared at the bed, reporting a new presence, a woman with short hair, wearing a white t-shirt, standing and facing away from him. Althea confirms that this wasn't the first time her son has seen the unexplained. Prior to the fever, the boy had a disturbing encounter after returning from a swim. While his father was leaving to return the car, the boy looked out the fourth-floor window of their apartment and immediately opened the door, thinking his father had come back. He said a tall man in black had peeked into the window. Althea knew this was impossible. The window faced a dead end, 4 stories up. No one could pass by casually. The simple sighting of a tall, dark figure at the window suggests that her son's third eye may not be just opening during fever, but might be permanently active, with the fever simply acting as an amplifier. The son's persistent visions are a powerful example of how fever hallucinations can interact with cultural beliefs. Scientific perspective. High fevers, especially in children, commonly cause vivid, sometimes disturbing hallucinations. The brain, under stress, struggles to process sensory information. In the Philippines, the vividness and consistency of these visions, especially the muddy, digging workers and the smiling children stealing toys, point toward territorial spirits or elemental beings, encanto, that may feel displaced by the human structure. The construction theme might suggest the spirits associated with the land are displeased with the building itself. The smiling, digging children represent entities attempting to take something foundational from the family. Perhaps not a physical toy, but the peace and safety of the home. The mother's immediate command to the spirits is an excellent example of Filipino spiritual self-defense. The strong, authoritative voice of the owner of the house is often the most effective way to repel unwelcome entities. The fact that the figures obeyed Althea's command suggests they were not powerful, ancient demons, but rather lower-level, mischievous spirits that were testing the boundaries of a vulnerable space and a vulnerable child. Althea's story leaves us with a chilling conclusion. Sometimes, the greatest battles aren't fought with fists, but with a mother's voice at 3:00, Aya Amin, demanding that the darkness respect the walls of her home. This is a story that many parents can relate to. If you've had an experience where your child has seen something you couldn't, we want to hear your story. Please visit storiesphilippines.com to submit your own encounter. If you are fascinated by these stories and the cultural insights we share, please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to Stories Filipinas podcast and share this episode with friends. Your support allows us to continue bringing these powerful narratives to life. You can find links in the show notes to our Patreon and other platforms where supporters gain access to exclusive, extended content. Was the construction of fever, induced image of the house being taken apart, or were those truly the territorial spirits of the land, displeased with the structure of Althea's home?